Built to Spill, When the Wind Forgets Your Name, album review, let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from Built to Spill, Boise, Idaho, indie rock legends whose 90s output is the stuff of it's the stuff of legends. Even if after all these years I'm still not into their debut, Ultimate Alternative Waivers. Also, never been a big Perfect From Now On guy either, just gonna get that out of the way. It's a little too experimental for me, at least at least for what I like in indie rock, especially in their output. Outside of that, the 90s and the early 2000s for Built to Spill is iconic. They were on a serious roll. There's Nothing Wrong with Love is an absolute classic. It deserves every right to be talked about in the same vein as everything in the Pavement discography, the Yo La Tengo discography, Guided by Voices. Yeah! And I stand by it still to this day. I still think Keep It Like a Secret is their best album. Now, Ancient Melodies of the Future is a fine album. There's certainly a lot to like about it, but it is around this time where me and Built to Spill got sort of a disconnect. I've never been a big You in Reverse guy either. Just around this time that I felt like they've kind of lost a step, and there was a lot more interesting things going on in indie rock at the time. But I do think that 2009's There Is No Enemy is easily the best thing that they've done since the 90s, and just overall a really great album. Now, the last time we heard from them was with their Untethered Moon album, which is fine. It has some great tracks on there, but this was the biggest Shrug album that I'd heard from Built to Spill in a really long time. And the singles leading up to this, I mean, some were okay, but to be perfectly honest, I wasn't overly hyped for this album. I wasn't really excited for it. I wasn't just absolutely clawing to hear a new Built to Spill album in 2022. That being said, let's chat about this thing. This album starts off with Gonna Lose, and you know what? I'm gonna be honest. It's a great start. I loved it since it dropped as a single. I love how melodic it is. I love the guitar-driven riff to this track. This is the vein of what I like to hear from Built to Spill the most. It doesn't seem dated either. This doesn't sound like Built to Spill clawing to stay relevant or anything like that. It's done really tastefully, and I just overall think this is just a very tasteful throwback alt-rock, indie rock track. I have a lot of the same feelings on Understood. This may be Built to Spill kind of playing it safe, kind of doing what they do best, but I think it actually comes off pretty tastefully. I love the lyrics here, the tender performances, the throwback riff. This sounds right. You see, there's one thing that I do like about Built to Spill in their current state, and that is when they really try, they can still bring out that classic sound and make it not sound so dated. As a matter of fact, it makes me kind of go back to a simpler time, and I like that. And I think Elements is my favorite track here. This track actually takes a sharp left turn and shows them taking some risks that I didn't expect to hear. I love how hazy and dreamy this is. I mean, this is far from the Colored by Numbers indie rock revival that we get on a lot of this album. Dare I say, it takes a turn for the psychedelic and a little hypnotizing. It's just really cool, and I think the production here is masterfully done. And I didn't know I wanted an extended, almost 2-minute jam from Built to Spill in 2022, but here they are, and you know what? It comes off really well. I don't know. I just can't fully get invested in this album. I hear tracks like Fool's Gold and I want to turn it off. Low energy, it just sounds exhausted right from the get-go. This sounds like Built to Spill are winding things down as a band and just running out of ideas. Just really uninspired, and I think Rocksteady is by far the worst thing on this album. This track is painful. Like, you hear a track like Elements where they actually bust out some surprises and take some risks, and then you hear this, and this is just asinine. This wet track is way too spaced out, way too jammy for me. The songwriting is goofy, and it's over 5 minutes long. Just no. Personally, this is just another big Shrug album for me. Like, take for example Spiderweb. Is this track the worst sin committed here? Obviously, I'm gonna say no. But it's just so bland and so boring and so safe. This sounds like an AI put together a Built to Spill track for their current sound and actually kind of nailed it. I mean, it's guitar driven and it's heartfelt. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing exciting about it either. And then we get tracks like Never Alright. Like 7 tracks in, you're gonna bust this track out. This is great. They sound more fired up and more invigorated on this track than just about any other track on here. It's energetic, it's youthful, it's fun. And for 4 minutes and 50 seconds here, I swear, you feel like you're in the presence of legends, and it sounds like they know what they're doing. I I love the guitar work. I love just how catchy it is. It's just really well done. But then we get Alright, and holy balls is this bad. Like, when this album is bad, it gets so bland and boring and painful so quick. It's pathetic, it's drawn out, it's exhausting, it's everything that I don't want to hear. I mean, the production actually has some cool moments, but just, I feel like Built to Spill can't, like, stand up to it. Keeps going on, being inoffensive and dragging its feet, just no. And the cliches, oh god. And then we get Comes a Day as a finale, a plus 8-minute track, and it is awesome. It is shockingly good. This is easily the most ambitious track on the album. Where's it coming from? We get this wild, driving riff and noisy production that is far out, man. It's exciting. It truly sounds like nothing else here. It's really heartfelt, too. And you know what? Like I said, it's over 8 minutes long, and there's some cliches and some kind of cheesy moments, but I'm actually okay with that. I just wish we got more risks like this. This album's very middle of the road. It's much like their last album. There are some great tracks, some great ideas, but I find it hard to get truly invested from start to finish in a Built to Spill album in 2022. This album is long, almost over half the tracks here are plus 5 minutes, and sometimes that is really way too much, because when this album gets bad, it gets bland, uninspired, and just plain boring and safe. But there's also some really good tracks here. I'm torn on this album. You may like this a whole lot better than me, but I think that so much of this album is just very okay. Just not offensive and just not memorable either. I'm feeling a decent 6 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.